out of 10 is top 10. 10 out of 10 is top 10. 10 out of 10 better go tell a friend, 'cause 10 out of 10 is top 10. 10 out of 10 is top 10. 10 out of 10 is top 10. 10 out of 10 better go tell a friend, 'cause 10 out of 10 is top 10.
Let's get hype. Let's get hype. Welcome back, you guys. It's Betty Bima.
And I'm Gloria Altamia.
And we're the Pabulum Partners.
And you're watching 10 out of 10.
That's right, where we cover the latest and greatest on our top 10 list.
Ooh, and today we got something good for you.
What do we have? What we have?
Top 10 books for bookworms.
Yes, that's right. I am a self-proclaimed bookworm. What about you, Gloria?
You know, I enjoy listening to stories. I wouldn't say that I'm a bookworm necessarily. I like to read sometimes. I know.
You like to read sometimes?
Yeah.
Let me tell you, okay, what inspires you to read?
Something that inspires me to read is a thrill. So it has to be exciting, like a good mystery book or a good horror book. Other than that, I don't know. I need some convincing. I need some examples of why I should read this book.
Okay, so it's no secret that you're an actor. So do you get any inspiration to read certain books because of the industry you work in?
Well, I do read a lot of plays and I read a lot of autobiographies and how-to books. And those are very helpful and insightful, and they give me tips on how to go about my career. And other than that, but to me, that's not, it's like it's work and passion together. I wouldn't say, it's something that must be done. Let's just say that.
Mhm.
And, I can't go through this industry without reading books that pertain to my industry. Otherwise,
I was gonna say, how can you not read when like the main job for an actor is to read scripts?
I know. And sometimes I just want to give my brain a rest, but I read a lot of scripts and plays.
Okay.
Those are the most topics that I read, or not topics, but things that I read.
Yeah. Well, I've been reading since like a little kid. Actually, I don't know if you recall, but I used to read in the car at night, and I would use the lights from the headlights of other cars to read my books. Do you remember me holding up books to read?
Yes, I remember. I used to look over there like, why is she doing that? And then finally, you got a book lamp. And
finally.
Yeah, finally. Mom was just like, get you a book lamp, girl.
And some of the influences was our grandmother, of course, and then my mom, because, instead of playing with toys and dolls and things like that, they would bring me back college books, and I would just read through the college books and stuff, which is really weird. I know, right?
Yeah. Okay, I used to Grandma used to have science books, and I would read those. So that's kind of cool because, I had an interest in health science and just anatomy.
Yeah.
And other than that, I didn't volunteer to read.
But, I was also inspired by school because they had this, it was some kind of program sponsored by Pizza Hut, where if you get a certain amount of AR points, I believe it was called, it's been so long, that you could get a personal pan pepperoni pizza for free. It was like some kind of book program. You remember that?
I remember
that. Book it, or something like that.
Yeah, book it, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I am a foodie. It's horrible, but I would read my books so I could get that free pizza.
I mean, as a kid, anything pizza is just like what I got to do for pizza.
And, that continued into college because I know people who would sign up for credit cards for pizza, like free pizza or free t-shirts and stuff like that. So it was a great gimmick,
I signed up for a credit card for a free t-shirt.
Hey, I think every student does it at least once.
Don't do it, guys.
Learn. Yes, indeed.
I know.
So we talked about what inspired us to read. Why do you think it's important that people still read or continue to read today?
It's important just because it keeps your mind fresh. It keeps it, very spontaneous. And sometimes when you get dead air, like me, sometimes I'm like trying to find a word. Well, maybe you should read more. That way your brain could be like, oh, I remember reading this word. Boom, pop it out. And people will be like, oh, well, look at you. And I'd be like, yes, I know.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It keeps your mind fresh. It helps you to have an imagination. A lot of people don't have imagination because they're not exercising that part of their brain. It helps you to travel to different places, even though you're in one place, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, and then it helps you to be more cultured. So if you know other people's perspectives, mindsets, and their experiences, it could kind of edify you as a person, right?
Right. Definitely.
Exactly. So you know what? Who's gonna start the countdown? Is it you or me today?
Ooh, you
Is it me?
Yes.
Oh Lord. Oh well, drop the ball. Let's start the top 10 countdown.
Yeah. Okay, so this is The Shining by Stephen King. He wrote this or published this book in 1977, guys. I picked this book because one, I love thrillers and horror movies. So why not read something in a book form that I enjoy watching, right? So basically, this book centers around the Torrance family, right? So you have Jack, you have Wendy, and you have Danny. And Danny is the younger boy who has supernatural abilities, like he can hear people's thoughts, and sometimes he can have premonitions of things in the future and whatnot. And his dad decided to take a job up at the Overlook Hotel, which is in the mountains, because he had gotten some trouble. So his dad used to be an alcoholic, so he's recovering and his temper is short, right? So he had a job at a high school. A kid kind of got on his nerves and he got in trouble because he pushed the kid. And so he got fired. So now he's like, I got to find a job. What am I going to do? And then his friend sets him up as a caretaker at the Overlook during the winter off season. So him and his family, they gather their stuff and they go to the mountains and they're at this hotel and everything's fine until they start experiencing supernatural things. And yeah. So basically, they're in a nightmare, a real life nightmare, right? And the family is trying to tell Jack, this place is not good for us, that we should just go back and do something else. And he's determined to stay and make it work and get his family's trust again and fix his life, but it ends up ruining his life. So it's just havoc the whole stay.
So you're telling me that Jack Nicholson, he played the father in the movie, right? And the person's name in the book was also Jack?
That's correct.
Wow. Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know. Now, you know what, though, about this book? Initially, I saw the movie first, right? As a younger person. And it was some years later, I was like, oh, let me actually read the book, because I remember being terrified as a kid. Yes. So I read the book, my imagination's going wild. My favorite part of the book is when Danny's in the maze and like supernatural creepy things start to happen in the maze. And my mind just creates this whole thing of horror, right? And in the movie, it shows the exact same thing. But when I recently watched The Shining in now times, it's not as scary as it used to be. And reading the book, after reading the book and then watching it, I was just like, oh, you know what? My imagination took it to the next level, and it was way better than the movie.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you do recommend the book over the movie?
Yeah, because you can just come up with a whole bunch of things on your own. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's
Well,
just,
I've never read the book, so I'm just listening to your take on it. It seems like it's awesome. Maybe I'll try it in the future.
it is very awesome. And then I like how they tried to tie it in with, well, they did a good job trying to tie it in with the the second part of The Shining, because there's two parts. It's called Doctor Sleep.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
and then there's a book for that too, and I read that as well. So, I thought
Nice.
it was really great. Yeah.
Okay, then.
Let's see what's next on the countdown.
All right. So at number 9, we have The Face on the Milk Carton. And this is a personal favorite of mine. I actually read this in my childhood, and it left an impression on me because I couldn't believe the twist in the story, right? This is a young adult mystery story about a girl named Janie. And basically, she's growing up with a family on the East Coast. And one day, she sees her picture on a carton, a milk carton. So she's like, what the heck? Is that me? What's really going on? So what she finds out is that the people that she's been living with, they're not her parents. And in fact, she was kidnapped at a very young age. So they ended up turning this book into a film. I think it was like Lifetime or something like that. And they turned it into a film, and they did really good with it. But it was so many years ago. I feel like there's an opportunity now to bring it back and even to make it more relatable to today. There's been so many things going on, so many stories that have been exposed through social media. So I feel like they can make like a really big film,
Yeah.
and bring awareness to kids who are involved in sex trafficking or, who are being kidnapped or in the foster care system. And by the way, this was a book authored by Caroline Cooney, and it came out in 1990. I don't know if I said that, but yeah, it left a great impression on me as a young kid.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Just the book itself, I have, and I was supposed to read it myself. I'm about a few pages in, and then things got a little hectic for me, so I didn't even get to finish it. But I am at the part where she's starting to realize things aren't quite right. So yeah, so it's very interesting. So if you haven't read it, I definitely read it as well. I'm still trying to too.
Yeah.
Let's see what we have next on the list.
Okay.
All right, so we have the Hunger Games trilogy. Now, I picked these set of books because after Harry Potter and Twilight, I was in a trilogy hole, right? At least that's what I call it. And I was like, man, what is the next Harry Potter or the next, Twilight? And I found Hunger Games. It was written by Suzanne Collins, and the first book came out in 2008. And it's basically about Katniss Evergreen. So the capital made 12 districts, right? And from each district, a boy and a girl has to be put up as tribute and fight until the very last person. So fight to the death, shall we say, right?
Yeah.
And just to keep everybody in order and in check. And most of the districts, aside from Pan which was where all the wealthy people are, the other districts were like just workers and struggling and trying to survive. You know what I'm saying? And so Katniss Evergreen, the only skill that she had was, her hunting skills and her sharp instincts to survive. And so she's put out into this pre-made forest, and her and 11 other people, and they're out there just neck to neck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that kind of relates to now, kind of, if you think about it, only the strong will survive, especially like with how everything was happening with the pandemic and all of that. And, I just remember going into the store and everybody's like grappling over tissue. It was like the Hunger Games, where in the beginning they had all the supplies in the middle and everybody had to run to go get it. It's very interesting, and it's kind of like real life. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's see what we have next on the list.
So this was my pick, the R.L. Stine books, the whole collection from Goosebumps to Fear Street to like the regular teenage novels. I used to read a lot of these. These were the books that I actually read in the car with the traffic lights like shining on the book pages, right? And I just love these books because they were like mini movies. And I feel like some of the books were transformed into movies. There's a Jennifer Lopez movie called the Boy Next Door or something like that. And I could have sworn I read that story years ago in the 90s, and it's based off of R.L. Stine book. I could have sworn that, but recent news, they're supposed to come out with a series this summer based on R.L. Stine books. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Ooh, I'm looking forward to it too. You know, you read me those stories and I enjoyed them. So I can't
Yeah.
wait to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's kick off the next one on our list. Year of Yes by Shonda Rhimes. This book came out in 2005. And actually, I have not read this book yet. I was just interested in reading it just because people told me about it. And I did some research on self-help books, you know. Just for some of you who may not know, Shonda Rhimes is a creator and producer of Grey's Anatomy, Scandal, and How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was an introvert, right? And she wanted to break out of her shell. Oh my God, can I talk? She wanted to break out of her shell. So she wrote a memoir book, and it explains her life before she decided to have a year of yes, right? And it also goes into after. And basically, she forced herself out of her shell to speak up, to go out on stage. She learned to explore and empower and just believe in herself. So I wanted to get this book just to have positive reinforcements in myself, you know, to get myself on that
Positive affirmations.
Yeah, positive affirmation and positive wave, you know what I'm saying? Just to keep elevating, keep moving forward in life. And I thought this book would be a great way to start to help me evolve.
Nice.
So, with that said, let's get into the next one.
All right. So, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This was my pick on the list because I'm always looking, just like you, Gloria, I'm always looking for some kind of help with myself. Okay. So this book was published in 1936, believe it or not. I'm looking at the notes right here. In 1936. So it's been around for a while, has sold 30 million copies worldwide, and is considered one of the best-selling books of all times. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people say that they get advice on how to deal with people and be personable. And then not only that, you know, just having a higher emotional IQ and being considerate of others as far as like walking in their shoes, you know. Whoa. So some of the things you learn from the book, and I can read it right here. 6 ways to make people like you, right? You need to be genuine. You need to smile to show that you're inviting. Remember a person's name. And that's a hard one for me because it's not that I don't pay attention, I'm not observant. It's just that I have short-term memory. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of hard sometimes to remember all the names, especially at a networking event. But it's really important. It shows that you value the human being that you're talking to, right?
Right.
And then to be a good listener, that's really good. We got to practice that. And talk in terms of the person's interests. And the last one, make people feel important. So a lot of people who have these traits, they end up being like charismatic people like Barack Obama or Will Smith, for instance. They know how to make the person feel valuable and important.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not going to lie. I do need to work on the listening because it's like I'm looking at you. I do listen. I promise I'm listening. But then I'm like, what you say? Can you say that again? Because maybe I wasn't listening. Maybe I was like picturing something. Oh my gosh, that's something I definitely can work on. I'm sure a lot of other people can too.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Let's see what we have next on our countdown. Whispers from the Dead by Joan Laurie Nixon. Now, this is my favorite book. Okay, I read this book in middle school. This book was published in 1989, and it's about a girl. She was out with her friends, and they were at the lake, and they were swimming in the water. And then all of a sudden, she got caught in like some water vines, some lake vines, or something like that, and basically started drowning and until she was like unconscious. And then she got rushed to the hospital and all of that good stuff. Well, not good stuff, but you know what I mean. After that, she started hearing voices. So she was able, since she kind of almost went to the other side, when she came back, she took some of the other side with her, you know, if that makes any sense. So her dad was like, okay, we need a fresh start from all of this stuff. And so they moved into this new house. Well, when they moved into this new house, she started hearing voices and she thought she was just going crazy, but really there were ghosts in the house that had passed in the house. And so she unlocked like this whole mystery. So basically it's a supernatural murder mystery. And it has like a whole bunch of twists and turns. And you know what? I think Sixth Sense kind of mimics this book. Not gonna lie, hearing like voices from the other side. You know how the young boy was able to see and hear voices?
Yeah, that movie scares me.
Yeah, this book does just the same. And I tell you, it's scary. I remember one time I had to close the book, close it. On that note, we made it to the top 3.
Yay!
What number 3 is?
All right. So this pick right here is really close to my heart. It's called Outrage In The Burial by Freddie Garcia and Nympha Garcia. And it came out in 1987, but I believe I read it in the early 90s when I was like in elementary school or something. And I got it from church. It was weird. It kind of just landed in my lap. I'm not sure who gave it to me, but it was a book that was supposed to be used for people who were going through drug rehab, or they were being, they just like was released from prison and things like that. So it was supposed to help the mentality of people who were adjusting to civilian life or adjusting to like being reacclimated into their family life. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why I read it. I didn't have any of those problems, but I thought it was interesting because of the cover, the art on the cover. Is definitely about a man who is, he's Hispanic or Latino, and he's dealing with different issues in the streets, gang violence and issues at home, drug addiction, alcoholism, spirituality issues, and all kind of things. And you just get to see this man evolve throughout the story and become a better human being because of the challenges he experiences. I highly recommend this book. By the way, it comes in English and Spanish. Ooh. When I looked on Amazon, this book is selling for $72, you guys. Wow. I had a copy of this book. I wish I would have kept it because I probably would have tried to resell it. But you know what? It's worth keeping in your house. It's worth it because it is a life transforming kind of novel, you know. Yeah.
Speaking of life transforming novels, let's see our next book that we have on the list. That's
next one.
The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This book came out in 1988. A friend recommended it to me, and I was like, oh, you know what? Sure, I have time. I should read it. And it was actually a very, very good and informative read. It's about a guy, Santiago. He's a shepherd, and he keeps having the same reoccurring dream. So he goes to this gypsy woman, and she explains to him what his dream's about. Basically, she told him to go to Egypt, to the pyramids, to find what he's looking for. And so he goes on this adventure, and he gets robbed, right? And basically, each place he stops at, he learns a valuable lesson that he can add to his life. Yeah. So he gets robbed in one area, but then he helps out this, what do you call him? He helps out this market man build his business. And when he helps that man, he also builds wealth. And from then he's like, you know what? I'm going to continue on my personal legend and go where the woman told me to go. So he started doing that. And each experience, he gained knowledge, and it all led him back to the beginning. So it's basically a full circle of knowledge. Just follow your heart and follow the positive omens that you see and experience, and you'll be fine. I definitely recommend this read. And now let's get into the number one book.
Woo! All right, so this is our number one pick, Why Me? The Sammy Davis Jr. story. It was published in 1989 by Bert Boyer and Jane Boyer. They're the authors, right? And basically it's about the actor, dancer, comedian, Rat Pack member, Sammy Davis Jr. You learn everything from how he lost his left eye to his military experience and his affiliations in Hollywood and in politics. I highly recommend this book because there's a lot of things, if you're pursuing a career in the entertainment industry, he gives you a lot of insight into some of the things that you will deal with as a person of color or someone who may have like, you know, a different aesthetic to your face or whatever, your image. Right. So one thing that stands out about this book is a part about Frank Sinatra. He was part of the Rat Pack as well. And Sammy Davis Jr. talks about running into him while in Vegas. And he just remembers Frank Sinatra looking very depressed and sad, walking on the street by himself. And Sammy Davis was like in a car, like a limousine or something like that, riding by. And he was just like, wow, he's down and out. He gambled all his money and he ends up helping his friend get his career back. Definitely read this book. And that's the number one pick. We made it through, Gloria.
So I hope this helped everyone and their imagination and inspired you guys to go out and pick some more books and read them. So
yeah, and by the way, I just want to show, I'm currently reading the Mariah Carey biopic. I just love the Mariah Carey biopic, and also The Wealth of Nations right here, which is really good if you're into economics and that whole thing, right? And then let's not forget A Song for You by Robin Crawford. So I'm really into biopics as well.
Mm-hmm, you definitely are. So there you have it, folks. The top picks. And until next time.
Until next time. Peace.